2 starts off again featuring the Newsboys. They do the whole score and all. And
Okay,
it's
so
just this.
Is this God's Not Dead 2?
This is God's Not Dead 2, God's Not Deader.
I actually can't tell if you're joking.
I don't actually remember what the subtitle was. I'll be
Are you sure it's not?
perfectly
No,
honest.
seriously, he's not dead. Stop asking.
I don't know.
Why are you asking?
Wait, so it
this?
is
We can't
God's
actually-
Not
Don't
Dead.
look behind the curtain.
He's in perfect health. Nothing's
The
wrong.
rumors
He's
of his
happy.
death have been greatly exaggerated.
He's happy and healthy, and I've seen them recently.
The whole opening sequence, just a whole bunch of pack shots of like America and like the flag and baseball, but like them like praying and then raising the flag and then like doing a prayer on the baseball field and then playing baseball and just like prayers
there a
and
prayer
Jesus
metaphor
and America
field?
and prayers and
Because they're
Jesus and America.
because they're so marginalized and oppressed.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Then we get reintroduced to vegan cancer reporter and the minister and the missionary from the last film.
Well, are you telling me that this is
Dude,
part of a cinematic universe?
All three are the same cinematic universe, and there's gonna be tie-ins. So you boys best have been paying
I'm
attention.
paying attention.
Jesus.
So
Jason, stop WhatsApping him.
I'm too poor to pay attention.
we then go to a new character, who I've called in my notes Sad Girl. Sad Girl has
I
a
like
dead.
her.
Yeah, she's alright. She's got
Sounds
a
like Thomas's type.
no, she's Christian. I did
Sounds
date.
Is
like
she
my
hot
type.
though?
I dated a Christian for 2 years once.
Is she hot though?
Me too.
No, she's a
Why would
child,
you
Marcus.
high-five that?
So okay.
You said, shut up! You did not define age!
So sad. She's in high school. So she's a junior in high school. So sad girl. We see via storytelling that she has a dead brother.
Sweet.
You know, because we see all the boxes in his room.
Is that
and
why
the-
she's sad?
Yes. And the parents don't care
I'm good at movies.
because they're atheists.
No, that's why they don't care about
tracks.
their dead son.
Yep.
Because
they're like-
because human emotion is predicated
Yes.
on like
No, dude, that's
Yeah.
what all these films
You only
are
feel things because God told you to.
we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
No.
So
before-
how do
we get
all
will
emotion
tell
is
you.
performative.
So then we cut to vegan cancer reporter. She's at the hospital. Holy shit. Cancer's cured. Do you know why? Because she prayed. She was like terminal cancer. The doctors were like, yeah, exactly. The doctors were like, you're gonna die. Not like, oh, I've just been through a year of chemo and like hardcore thing. So the band, the Newsboys, phoned
In the room, they just walk up there. She wakes up and they're busy doing like the Jimi Hendrix Star Spangled Banner.
they phone her and they're like, how did the cancer thing go? like they
exact
know.
words.
Well,
Hey,
okay,
how's
sorry.
that cancer?
He said, how did it go?
Who dat
Those
cancer?
were his exact
Okay.
words. The lead singer was like,
Who dat cancer?
New cancer. Who
Tracy
just?
Jordan in Who Dat Cancer?
so they're on tour. They're like in a tour bus, and he phoned her and was like, "How is the thing?" And she's like, "Oh my God, I'm cancer free."
Where did
And
you
he's
get
like,
the number?
"Thank the Lord. This is Jesus's plan for you. You know, He's not done with you yet."
I thought it was God's plan.
It's unclear. They're all the same.
Okay.
Then we cut
Oh,
to.
that's the end of movie 3. Is
Then
when
we-
we
then
God
we-
takes off his mask and he's Jesus.
Then we cut.
It's gonna be Hercules.
We cut to the new character who's a teacher, and she's very happy about her life, and she's living with her dad, and her dad's old and
Let me
weird.
guess. She's a Christian.
That's
That's why
correct.
she's happy.
They're both Christian. That's literally my next point.
Is this podcast gonna end with Thomas coming out to us as a religious Christian?
Yeah, he's just gonna
I'm
be
gonna
like,
fucking kill.
I've been converted.
I'm gonna kill myself in this podcast to make sure I don't go to heaven. So I have to do with this cunt.
imagine having to spend eternity
With
these
this
people.
fucking cunt. So she's talking to her dad, and her dad says the words, atheism doesn't take away the pain, but it does take away the hope. That's what atheism does. Also,
Wow.
Jesus is a human right.
It's not like hope is the thing that drives
not freedom
humans
of expression of religion, not like the right to worship. Jesus is a fundamental human right that everybody should have.
forward. Yeah, it's in the Constitution. Everyone
Yeah.
has the right to Jesus' arms.
Yes. Then we cut to Jesus.
To bear Jesus.
To bear Jesus and arm God and electrocute the Holy Spirit?
Where can I bear Jesus as a child then?
No.
No.
So we cut to
That's like
we cut to the
peace.
Jesus. We cut to the Jesus
crazy,
teacher
Marcus.
You eat his
at
body.
her school.
Drink his
We cut to the
blood.
Jesus teacher at her school, and all the other teachers who are atheists all hate their job. They hate the kids, hate their job,
Good.
they hate everything about
they're
everything.
willing
So it's
Just
an
the teachers.
accurate representation
but
of
she
teachers.
is super like upbeat and happy, and they're all like, "Oh, when is this gonna wear off?" She's like, "Never," and she like touches her Jesus necklace. Then,
Oh, you
many-
mean the torture device that killed him?
yes,
Wait, but,
the symbol of Roman capital punishment that she wears around her neck.
I thought it was just a lowercase t.
Yeah, it's unclear. Then we cut back to sad girl.
Gone from across the street.
We cut back to sad girl.
All right.
The Salvation Army comes to box up all her brother's things, and her brother, who was a secret Christian, his Bible falls off the truck, and she gets it, and is like, "I didn't know he was a Christian." And so she's super sad and goes to school, and the teacher notices she's super sad, so the teacher meets her.
Is this
after-
Christian teacher?
Yes, it's a Christian teacher.
Obviously,
Christian teacher
the
meets her.
atheist teachers wouldn't care.
Yeah, atheist teachers would-
They-
You know what an atheist
they'd
teacher
sooner
would do?
just
They'd be
shoot
like,
her.
they'd like take the Bible and be like, "Oh, cool, a paperweight, I
Toilet
think.
paper.
Toilet paper." Yeah.
We're gonna get there.
A Bible. I'm gonna hit children with. No wait, that's what the Christians did.
Wait, a Bible. I'm gonna use it for rolling papers.
So
yeah,
what
I'm
she-
gonna smoke the devil's lettuce.
So she goes to coffee with this teacher because the teacher's like, "Oh, you're sad," and whatever. Then
So,
the
so this Christian teacher,
Christian teacher's taking this kid.
this underage girl.
Yeah, we'll get there. Don't worry.
For
So basically,
coffee.
the teacher says like, "Why are you sad?" And she's like, "Oh, my brother died." And how do you stay so happy all the time? And she's like, "Jesus."
Their
So
brother, right?
Jesus will help.
She opens up a little thing of cocaine that just says Jesus on it.
So
Their brother,
right? Don't
basically,
be
basically,
So that's a
MDMA.
pain.
don't go to a psychologist and seek help for your depression onset from the death of your brother. Jesus cures depression. Next day,
Do you think Jim Carrey knows Jesus?
I think Jim Carrey is Jesus.
Just pause
That's
real
why he's an
quick.
insufferable asshole.
Why aren't there any Christian horror movies where God is the monster, seeing as they're all such God-fearing people?
Wasn't that the plot of the Reaping?
Because it's love. He kills them with love
Wasn't
and
that
then
the
punishes them
plot
for
of The
eternity
Reaping?
with love.
Yes.
No,
Was it?
that is the plot of the Reaping. Fuck you. God is the villain. Brings down all these plagues to kill all these people, and because they thought it was a satanic cult,
isn't
and
he
it's actually this
isn't
kid.
he the villain in a bunch of parables as well?
Well, like all of the Old
the story
Testament,
of
where he
John-
kills
yeah.
all of humanity because
No,
he
he's
was
like
sad.
anti-hero there.
Oh, so he's a bad boy.
That's
why ladies love him.
That's why they love him.
Ladies love Cool G. There you go.
Ladies love
Wait,
cool
is he
God.
just? He's just the
Cool
Fonz.
James. Cool Jesus.
Yeah, but God.
They're all the same.
Jesus didn't kill
They're all the
anyone.
same.
No, Jesus hung out with hookers and said gay people were fine. His
yeah.
dad was like, no, fuck them all.
Nah, fuck them all. Okay, so we're back in the
You
school.
don't get Christianity,
So we're back
do
in
you?
we're back in the school. We're back in the school. Focus. We're back
Okay.
in the school.
Okay.
The
Christians do.
the girl that's just been told that depression is cured by Jesus and has been reading her brother's Bible, then asks the question because the lessons about the civil rights movement. So
Oh, no, that's bad.
so the kid
But
then
didn't they
asks,
just pray
oh,
the bigotry
so
away?
like Jesus.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So the teacher's talking about civil rights, and then the kid says, "Oh, like Jesus," and the teacher's like, "Yeah, like Jesus."
Wait.
in what sense is
Civil rights is the same as like Martin Luther King's life is the same as Jesus'
yeah,
life.
for sure.
Persecution, religion, whatever. There's parallels.
Snipers.
Yeah.
Okay, there's,
all of it the
there's
same.
parallels,
Yeah.
but they're also discounting the suffering of an entire race of people in one sentence.
No, Marcus, they're Christians. They'd never do that.
Don't you know how
They're
don't you know how persecuted
good people.
Christians
Yeah. So anyway,
Atheists.
yeah. So anyway, then we cut back to the
Hate
church
God,
from the
like,
first
so
film,
much.
and the Asian's there, and he's like learning the ropes of Christianity, and he's
Wait,
come
wait,
with
the
all his
Asian
questions.
who is like so logical all time.
That's correct. That's the same man. His English has improved in this film. Thank
Okay, so now it's more like
so he's asking the pastor more questions. The pastor's
Christianity is
asking all of his
logical,
questions,
yes.
and because he's Asian, he come with 147 questions. I'm verbatim quoting the film now.
Alright, cool. that makes sense.
147
Yeah.
questions.
Then
Yep,
we
yep.
we cut back to the school. The school board's super pissed because she brought up Jesus in a government school, and you're not allowed to do that because there's a
You
separation.
should raise Jesus better
There's a
than that.
separation of church and state, and you shouldn't be like telling kids about religious things in a school setting and whatever.
of course.
And she's like, "No, I did the right thing," and they're like, "Cool, you're suspended." So
Not fired,
then,
suspended.
Yeah. Then we
With
cut.
pay.
How could God let that
No
happen?
pay. We cut to the family of the sad girl. We cut to family of
You're
sad girl.
suspended
and
without pay. Hand in your
her-
badge and your gun.
In America.
She's a school teacher. So at their house.
Teacher with a badge. It's ridiculous.
At their house,
It's official, like a teaching badge.
the lawyer pitches up for the family who's gonna now sue the school board and sue this teacher.
Is it the law firm from the credits?
Dude,
It has to be.
no. This is the bad people. And like he drives up and there's like the spooky music playing.
Oh,
and
please tell
this
me it's a black
car.
Mercedes.
It's a black Bentley. It's a black
Ooh,
Bentley, and like
nice.
he gets out
British.
and you just see these like black shoes, and he like straightens his black tie and he's like gives this like little smile, like he's dressed like fucking Satan.
Does he spit on
Wait,
the
wait,
Bible?
does he have?
Pretty much.
Does he have those red undersoles?
He does have those
I've
red
got shoes with
undersoles.
red undersoles.
Fantastic.
the-
That means he is
Well,
the
like
Satan.
maroon, but with bullet
I'm
holes
sorry
in
I'm
them.
late. I had to set fire to an orphanage.
Yes. Dude, that's pretty much it. And he's like going on about like how this will be great for your daughter because, you know, she, for whatever reason, I don't fucking remember.
So I'm gonna get
then
you.
he goes.
money.
I was gonna say, what's the worst thing that they could think of him doing? Molesting children. Oh.
Oh, wait. So he says to the other lawyer, which he meets later in the film, he's like, I hate Jesus. I hate this religion. I hate God. I hate everything about it and all of these people. Like, he says it.
What did God do to him? Did God kill his wife with cancer too?
Yes,
He killed
Jason.
his wife in 9/11.
God did 9/11
It was 9/11 times 1,000.
times 100,000. So,
9.
no, it's never, he says, again, he hates God for the same reason that like 15-year-old atheists on Reddit, the dude is like, oh, it's holding humanity back and it's this primitive superstition and it's bad for the planet and whatever and all that.
So this guy's the protagonist, I assume.
No antagonist. this is the Satan lawyer.
Oh,
So
this-
then
oh,
we
yes,
cut
okay.
to the back to the church.
Future.
No, back to the church, and at the church, the pastor, the minister guy, gets a jury summons because he's on the jury. Because somehow that's not a conflict of interest. Like, there's actually a point.
Because they do, like, they do vet the jury.
Yes, no.
Yeah.
The scene is they're vetting the jury. Like, okay, this one's got prejudice, so we don't want them. You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And the Satan lawyer says, okay, well, we don't want him because he's a pastor. And the other lawyer's like, no, you can't discriminate. And the lawyer's like, it's an active conflict of interest. And the judge's like, I'll allow it.
I'll allow it.
Because the guy is just Jesus in a row.
I was thinking, God, the
you wanna know?
judge was like sweating, saying, I'll allow it. Oh, God's just in the back with his dog in his hand.
Do you
Gun
want to
against
know
the dog's
who the
head.
judge is? It's
It's Hercules.
It's the black guy from Ghostbusters.
Oh no.
Okay, so moving on. The
one
the vegan-
taxi driver.
yeah.
the reboot.
Yep. The vegan cancer reporter, who's no longer vegan cancer reporter, but I didn't change her name in my notes.
Of course you didn't. Why would you?
She then turns her whole blog into a religious mouthpiece. And, like, you know, talks about how it's good and God's good and how God helped her with her cancer and, like, all the stuff, and she's gonna go forward. I've killed Dion,
Well,
I
I'm
think.
glad she didn't lose
Dion,
any.
Dion is dead.
The whole
I'm glad she
movie...
didn't lose any.
Dion's not dead.
the, the whole movie from that point just evolves into the universe's worst Law and Order episode you've ever seen. And every time there's kind of a scene transition, they have what I
Do they have that Law and Order sound?
No, what I imagine again is what like Christians think liberal news is, but like so they've got liberal Fox News as like snippets,
Yeah.
and all.
I'm sorry, I
the
don't understand
only
that
thing-
sentence.
The only thing that they talk about is like, oh, Christians need to be feared and need to be driven out, and they're bad, and we need to like make sure they're not infecting our kids with this like poison. Like these are the actual words.
You know what? Like, I was hesitant at first, but I'm glad somebody is like finally standing up for the little guy in America, the
Okay.
white Christians.
Okay.
Such a
You
mod-
just said that. My next point is we then cut back to the teacher and her dad, and the dad's like, oh, well, you know, all these places are always so on about diversity, but now when it's Christianity that's on the plate, now it's bad.
Okay.
I'm sorry. How many?
So then
how many people of color are in this film?
I would say 2. That is the missionary from Ghana and
Yeah.
the Asian kid.
What about the judge?
And the judge. Sorry, 3.
3.
We got 3. Oh,
Okay.
so I think there's 1 or 2 black jurors. But anyway, moving on.
The rural
We
Diversity.
then cut back to the church, and they're having a pastors' meeting, and
Yeah.
in this meeting they're talking about, oh, the local government has said that we have to submit all of our sermons for approval before we can preach.
Oh no.
So basically, the Gestapo has come for the church, and you know.
Imagine how terrifying it would be if something like that happened in real life, you know, to...
Yeah, like
to
imagine if
people,
an
like-
entire people who were identified by, you know, a religious
I don't know.
belief were just sort
That
of
would be
hunted down
crazy,
and, like,
and just
and
persecuted and
vilified.
just made to be the bad guy.
I mean, that would be terrible.
I'm glad it's never happened.
Yeah, definitely wasn't perpetrated by anybody who was Christian.
No, this definitely doesn't. If that had happened, this definitely doesn't put that in the most appalling, bad taste sort of way. So then we cut back
This
to
is
the
God.
Asian.
Fucking research.
The Asian
This is
kid.
God's America.
The Asian kid is in his dorm room, and his dad shows up and is like, leave this Jesus nonsense behind. It's tearing your family apart. And he's like, no, I choose to follow Jesus. And he's like, then you are no longer my son. And he storms out.
You are no longer my son.
Yes, exactly.
You bring dishonor.
Exactly.
You bring dishonor to my family.
Then we-
It's like that Family Guy bit. You doctor yet?
Then we cut back to the trial. And then
Oh God,
the
there's a trial still going
No, dude,
on.
that's the back of the story. Then the whole thing there, all the witnesses are these weird book authors that they found, like the actual authors of these actual books, like, and they're all written from this like atheist point of view.
Yeah.
What they don't tell you is that all of these people converted and are Christians. That they do highlight that, and they're like, oh, the lawyers say like, oh, don't you think that makes you more like, isn't this a conflict of interest? Like, no, it's not. And it's like, okay, cool. Because they basically they try to
This is a
prove
great lawyer.
their defense is that the defense's defense is that Jesus Christ was a real man and existed. So
He was a real man.
Her answering the question in a history class was actually related to history, not Jesus. She wasn't trying to preach. She was actually talking about a real historical figure that lived.
Oh, now I know what the court case is about.
So that's that thing. And then they go forward with that. And so they bring in all these bullshit authors, just book authors, not scientists, not anything like that, just book authors. And they all say that you know, if you look at the evidence in my book, and it's like, and anywhere else? No, in my book. It's like, are these books peer reviewed? No. Okay, cool. So
I'll
then
review those
there's-
books right now.
in the last days of the trial, like a silent protest forms outside, and the Christians are sitting there peacefully, and they're just like, you know, holding their little placards and not doing anything. They do nothing. They just sit and they hold their
What are the
placards.
newsboys doing
And
during
there's
this
a
thing?
counter
Peaceful
protest,
people.
a counter protest of just people yelling and screaming and throwing things at them and just going mad in their face.
Please tell me the newsboys are going to show up and placate the angry protesters with cans of Pepsi.
We'll get there. So then, the whole way throughout the trial, they've never put the girl on the stand. Like, she's never been a witness, called as a witness, and she can't do it by herself because she's a minor. She has no rights in, like, a court of law. Her parents or guardians have to agree to anything. She bursts into the courtroom and is like, you didn't ask me what I think! And they're like, oh, they're in this court, they're in this court. And they just let her testify.
Yeah.
The parents emphatically like stand up and say, you can't do that. And the judge is like, I'll allow it.
God's still there with his gun on the puppy's head.
So like, they literally break the law. They break the law.
Yo, God's
And-
lucky fucking John Wick wasn't nearby.
Yeah,
That's man's law, not God's law.
Yeah, excuse me, you're right.
You mean coleslaw. So
then, yeah, no, it's just
Stone Cold Steve Coleslaw.
the fucking... The trial goes on, and basically she was the worst person to put on trial anyway because she's a fucking child. So the prosecution's just like, ah ha ha, you know, it's a child, so I can fuck with this kid. And it comes out that, you know, he's asked her, like, oh, did this kid ever, did the teacher ever speak to you about Jesus outside of school? And she's like, yes. And he's like, ha ha, and gets onto the Jesus cures your depression thing. So they make the case that way. And then we go back to like weird Prius ads where it's like, oh, my car never breaks down now. I've got a Prius. The minister says that.
The best
and
Prius...
he's then talking to the... Oh, yeah. He is in the...
How did you watch these?
We're still one more to go.
No.
He's in the, you know, in jury duty, and he collapses because of appendicitis. So he's no longer in the jury. So all
pray hard.
all
God
hope
fix it.
is lost. But they put an alternative girl in there. But again...
Like an alternative girl or like a different girl?
No, an alternative girl. But again, these things are all done from the perspective of Christians.
Oh, let me
so
guess.
they just
She has a nose ring with a crucifix hanging from it.
They just Googled alternative girl, and they were like, yeah, just
That one.
do a makeup like that, and do a hair like that.
I'm gonna Google alternative girl, and you tell me how accurate it is.
All right. So then the lawyer decides that the best way to win the trial is basically to make it seem that if they stop this, then every sort of religion will be persecuted because Christianity is being persecuted here. So
Here we go.
he does.
That's the first image.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, fantastic. That's alternative
That's
girl.
exactly right. Like they styled her exactly like that. And so what the lawyer does is he does a secret heel turn. He doesn't tell her that he's gonna like treat her like a hostile witness and, you know, badger her about the fact that she talks to God and God talks back to her like she's a fucking crazy person. He just goes and like alienates her to make sure that everyone is only rooting for her because they can't root for anybody else. She then breaks down and cries, and the lawyer doesn't then, when the court is adjourned, doesn't go to her and was like, it was a fucking ploy, like we got them right where we want them. He just stands next to her and then just walks out. So he leaves her there thinking that he's like turned on her completely and just fucking with her. Then, do you know what happens? The band is
The
at
Newsboys.
the Newsboys are at their concert, and they ask everybody to pray, and then she gets acquitted of all charges, and then
It's a good thing God has his priorities straight.
and then the lawyer was like, "It was a ruse. I was only on your side the whole time."
Yeah, now he says that.
and then the lawyer at the end goes to the other lawyer. The Satan lawyer goes to the defense lawyer and is like, nice shoes, and he just walks out. Then and that's the end of the movie. Then the legal credits come up again, and I made a point of reading each one because they give the case details of each one, and I made a point of reading each one. And again, it's all like people that are discriminated against in their workplace. Like their bosses said, like, no, you can't hand that out because it's a Christian thing, and we're not a Christian thing, and so they've sued and they've won, or they've lost. And they're all pretty standard, except the last four. What the last four are all people that have refused service or have refused rent to people of same-sex relationships.
And they've won and gotten rid of those dirty gays.
Oh my god.
And they thought, like, yes, put these in the credits.
I mean,
live in
they
a
know their
society.
they know their target
No, I know,
market.
but the whole thing is undermined. Oh, then, I took a fucking photo of it because basically the whole, you know, premise of the trial is that she was, you know, not preaching to this kid. That's what she's trying to maintain. That she was actually, you know, answering a historical question in a historical setting.
Yeah.
And that she wasn't preaching. Do you know what the first splash screen of the credits is before the weird legal shit comes up? It's that. I'm not preaching. This movie's not about preaching. This movie's not about preaching. Not about preaching, but the first...
read it out for
But
us,
the
please,
first...
Marcus.
Okay,
Yeah.
May I?
In your best preacher voice.
This is actually a callback to the first one. Let me just set that up. Join the movement. Text everyone you know.
But remember...
Praise Jeebus!
But remember, this wasn't about preaching.
No.
She wasn't preaching, and this wasn't about preaching. So, they, again, they undermine the entire premise of their film.
Yep. Okay, Thomas, hit us with that last one. I'm
All right.
I'm fucking
so
done.
film 3. We cut.
I got an idea. Can we just pause it and just recover a little bit?
No.
No, let's move
If,
through.
if we stop now, we're not going to finish.
Fuck. Okay.
Okay, so
go
film
for it.
3. We cut to the minister from the previous film being arrested by the police Gestapo.
Yes.
Because
Wait, are there 3 Gods Not Dead movies?
yes,
Jesus?
that's what I'm
Wait. God's not dead. Jesus ain't dead. And
The Holy Spirit
shit,
ain't
Holy
dead.
Spirit's still kicking, yo.
Yeah,
And that Holy Spirit is hungry for vengeance.
exactly. So the minister from the last film was getting arrested by the state Gestapo because he refused to turn in his sermons, and God wouldn't want him, and he's called to fight the power. Row, fight the power.
Wait. Okay, so in this alternative universe...
No, this is America.
No, but in this
is America!
In this alternative universe, America, there is a Gestapo state
It's not.
police.
It's just like the police. He's just arrested because he refused to turn in his sermons for review before he did it. Because that's definitely something the government would do: is ask
Definitely,
religious
sure.
organizations to submit their doctrine teachings before they get told to people. Because that's definitely not against the law at all. So the premise of this film. The premise of this film is that the university, because this church has been centered around so much controversy, they basically want to push the church out of the university campus.
Yeah.
They don't want them there anymore. They must go. The church must be demolished, whatever.
Well, I mean, with the whole separation of church and state, that should have happened like decades ago.
Anyway, but they make the case that because the church was there first and the church helped fund and build the university, even though it's not a church
these people
university.
really care about who was there first.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
In America.
in America, the church explodes.
Yes.
It catches fire. It burns
Does
down.
it get terroristed?
It gets terroristed. Like a kid. You see this the minister and the missionary walking towards the church. You hear a crash of a window. Then you see this kid sprinting away, and they go in, and oh no, the brick actually hit a gas main, which when the missionary went down to the basement and turned on the lights, boom, and exploded.
I blame the missionary.
Yeah, me too. Wrong place, wrong time.
No.
And
It's
then
not the missionary. I'll tell you who it was. The kid who threw the brick was actually, remember from the first movie?
We're gonna get there.
The kid brother of the Christian Muslim girl. He threw the brick because he was angry that Christianity stole his sister, and then he threw the brick, and the church exploded, and it's his fault, and he's an evil Muslim.
That's a good
But
game theory. We'll see how that works
There
out
are no
for
such
you.
thing as coincidences.
Because God does
So-
not play with dice.
Exactly. So that means that God blew up the building.
Yep. So then
Whoa, now.
It's all part of God.
Puts on tinfoil hat.
the
It's all
minister
part of
then
his plan.
runs into the church to, see if he can save this guy. And he's trying to pull him up the stairs and he can't do it. And the fire's closing in. And he says, God, please help me. And then the sprinkler system turns on. And then he finds the strength to pull the man out.
Cool.
Yeah.
So it's not adrenaline
So
or
then
anything, it's
we-
the power of God.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
in
the
that
power of
time,
water.
10 children die of cancer.
Hydration is
10
super
only?
important, dude.
in the greater tri-state area.
Right, fair enough. Then we cut to a new character who I've called New Girl. I actually did change her name later.
Do you think in
Zoe
these ones,
Deschanel?
God is like Zack Snyder's Superman in that if he listens to the cries of all the people on Earth, he'll get too sad.
God's only replying to one email at a time.
Otherwise he'll get too sad.
So she's in the library and she is talking to herself. I assume talking to God. She's saying like, "Oh, I've lost my way and I'm questioning my faith." I think I changed her name to Doubt Girl later. Yes, I did.
Gwen Stefani?
We then cut to her dorm room where what ridiculous concept do you think her and her dorm
you
mates
didn't
are
chorus
discussing?
in the previous one.
Yeah, the whole movie was a coring.
Okay.
I feel a little bit robbed.
I'm sorry, but I was
I
on a roll, and again, if I stopped, I wasn't going to start again. What ridiculous concept, like fringe conspiracy theory thing
9/11 truthers.
they are talking about in the dorm room, and they spend like a full 5 minutes on this.
Is it shown in a
Holocaust
positive
denial.
way for the movie
No, it's
or a negative way?
it's just shown in a like what way?
Oh, War on Christmas.
War on Christmas, okay.
No, but is it done in like this is definitely a fake way, or is this definitely real?
There's like, this is a real thing that's totally fucking happening. What the fuck?
That white people were actually in America first.
Okay.
I'm gonna... Shit, then it won't be War on Christmas.
You guys are thinking too simple. Go like, go
Oh.
weird. Go fucking weird with
White
it.
genocide.
Okay.
Oh,
I'm going white
anti-vax.
genocide.
The Mandela effect.
Oh!
They spend a full 5 minutes talking about like how
Right.
universes collided and then they go to the fact that like, oh well, she doesn't believe it because she's a Christian, and she's like, and then the boyfriend's like,
Except the Mandela effect's just a psychological thing.
Yeah.
and yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Everything I know about it, I learned from Commenticate.
Me too.
Yeah.
Then
That's right. I get my smarts from YouTube.
the
You know what my favorite thing was about Mandela Effect? When he just re-uploaded the Mandela Effect.
Yes, I love that. the commitment to that gag a full year later. What an absolute fucking genius.
I've seen this before, I swear it.
The one dude that's talking about the Mandela effect says that, oh, you know, the school is being poisoned by the church's lies because they say they've got one truth, but there's actually lots of objective truths.
There's 52.
Yeah. Then
Precisely 52.
the
Yeah.
doubt girl then leaves her boyfriend because the boyfriend says to her, oh, well, you're not a Christian, so why do you have an issue talking about this stuff?
And then she was like, I'm free.
No, she gets super sad. She then goes back to church.
Wait, so then
Doubt
Doubt
Girl
Girl evolves into How do these Pokemon work? I don't understand this.
How do the evolutions don't make any
No, she's not
sense?
sad. Boyfriend is sad. He becomes sad boyfriend.
Okay. Xbox One sad.
Doubt Girl then goes back to church where the student that was debating the professor is now a youth pastor. He left
The student from the first one.
Yeah, he left law school to be a youth pastor in the
Because
church.
it's much more
Left.
fulfilling word.
They were like, please.
Please.
The boyfriend then goes and gets drunk, goes past the church and is like, I fucking hate this church. And it turns out it was him that threw the brick. It was a flashback and they didn't tell us. And yeah,
And then
So-
he played John Deacon in Bohemian Rhapsody.
that's crazy. So then the university was like, oh, this is the perfect moment. The church is burnt down. Let's just fucking get together and do
Let's
a
just-
And they get naked and dance around and sacrifice a goat because they're atheists.
pretty much. They're like, this is the perfect moment. Let's just send in the demolition crews. So then, the Ghanaian guy dies from injuries sustained in the explosion. They then go to the funeral, and then at the funeral, his parents say, like, oh, you know, to the minister, you were such a good guy, and you always considered you his brother. And then the father says something in Ghanaian, and the minister
I
says,
believe you mean Africanese.
I do mean that. The minister then says, what does that mean? And the mom's like, oh, it doesn't translate really, but what it basically means is God is good all the time, and all the time God is good.
Oh!
They bring it back!
Bring it back! You can see, imagine them in people in the theater like watching this thing.
We
They
waited.
cheered like an end game.
Well, they waited
the
8.
Avengers.
They waited 8 years between the first film and this film, so maybe.
Wow.
I actually don't know how long it was. I didn't even check the dates.
Invested now.
I'm thinking like 8 months
yeah.
max.
Oh my god. So then the minister brother goes to go see his lawyer, who's actually his brother, who rejected God and whatever, but it turns out that he was actually just trying to find his own way and that his parents rejected him and that they all turned against him. And the brother then comes to stay with him. Sad boyfriend then goes to Doubt Girl and tells her that, he did this and he threw the brick and he fucking burnt this church down accidentally and he got this guy killed and what should he do
So
about it?
sad boyfriend is now crime boyfriend.
I didn't change him to crime boyfriend. I just kept him as sad boyfriend because
Because he's still sad,
he's
even
still
though he
sad
committed
even though
a
he did the crime.
Yeah, it wasn't one of the cooler crimes. But
No.
yeah.
Doubt Girl then tells sad boyfriend, don't tell anybody. God will forgive you.
Don't submit
That
to...
is-
Wait.
So
Don't
like-
submit
like-
to the laws of man, submit only to the law of God.
Like, the word gets thrown around a lot, but that is legitimately problematic.
Yes, that is aiding and abetting a
Yes.
felony.
Yes.
You
If
destroyed
you are right
property
in your heart, God
and
will forgive
got
you.
somebody killed. Don't tell anybody. She also, throughout the course of the film, tells no one.
I mean, to be fair,
At least she's consistent.
fair.
To be fair.
it was a person of color that he got killed.
Yeah, so basically doesn't
So in
matter.
their narrative, I don't think God really cares much.
Yeah. So, the demolition crew
That
pitches
hurt
up
me.
at the church.
I'm hurt now.
The demolition crew pitches up at the church, right? And they're about to fucking knock that motherfucker down, even though
yeah.
it wasn't cleared with them, even though it's you know, the university's land because they have eminent domain. The
Manifest
brother,
Destiny, though.
the brother rushes out to like try and get a court injunction to stop the demolition crews.
yeah.
And do you know how he's able to get it?
How? He prays.
No, he doesn't believe in God, remember? So the judge is a Christian and gives it to him
On good faith.
on good faith.
Oh wow, that's a great basis for the legal system. Oh man.
She's literally in church and he's like, oh, this is very urgent. And she's like, I'm in fucking church right now. And,
No, I don't think she would say it like that.
and so the lawyer's like,
She's having
ma'am,
butt
this
fucking
is
church
about
right now."
the church. And like, she's not really paying attention to him the whole time. She's like, ma'am, this is about the church. And she's like, and so he gets the injunction because she's a Christian and therefore a good person. You know, she doesn't just tell him, go fuck yourself. This is not how the legal system works. But anyway.
Yeah, that's some fucking grade A corruption right there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fine. She just doesn't need to tell
Liberal-
anyone, and God will forgive her.
Liberal
Yeah.
Fox News comes back and was like, this is the best thing for the university ever. We should demolish it. It shouldn't be a part of the university campus at all. What a fish paste. The minister then goes to visit his love interest, who I have called Soup Kitchen. She...
Oh my God! I want a friend so I can call them Soup Kitchen. Like
My
a
name
friend.
is Sue Key Kitchen.
She serves soup to homeless people.
I feel like the grossest friend that you have that always does stupid shit and drinks too much and breaks things and you're just embarrassed about. I
Fucking
feel like you would
Soup
call
Kitchen.
them Soup Kitchen.
Soup Kitchen.
Yeah, exactly. I'm Soup Kitchen in that theory.
But you don't drink anymore. You can't be Soup Kitchen. No.
So she visits.
That's
He
right.
visits her, and she, you know, confides in him that she lost her son, and that's why she follows Jesus.
fearless.
Yeah, I know, right? Press X to Jason.
Jason!
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 Sean! Sean! Jason! Sean! What was David Cage's childhood like? How many times did he get lost as a fucking child?
Press
I
Y
can't
to
believe
follow
my son is
Jesus.
dead. I want you to give me a child. David Cage did a TED Talk on writing, everybody. Then we cut back to Fox News, and they've got a guest on, and the guest is saying, like, again, they come back to, like, oh, well, all other religions are afforded, you know, diversity and tolerance, and they talk about that like it's a good thing. But now when they come to universities and Christianity being involved, it's all of a sudden a bad thing. It's a double standard. Then the band
Also, women
shows
should
up
not be
again.
allowed to vote.
Of course they
The
do.
band shows up again, and they start doing a talk show circuit about how it's important that this church needs to be rebuilt and needs to be reconsecrated and remajiggered. Or whatever.
What part of the process is the magic water?
Yeah. The
Like, I'm all for it being
the
rebuilt
reason-
if it's a good looking
the reason
building.
why
like for the
Sad
architecture.
Boyfriend is a bad person and doesn't believe in God is because his mom divorced their dad, and all the church called her a painted whore. So he hates God because they let her mom, they let the church call her mom names. Then
Okay.
then
No. The opposite.
the minister gets a text from an anonymous number, and it's of the name of the kid of Sad Boyfriend.
Anonymous number. It's just the Guy Fawkes mobs.
It's the name of the kid that burnt down the church. It's like so and so burnt down your church, and it's from Block Caller or whatever. Then
From
the pastor goes to like fucking throw down with him, and it was like
It's the most like.
yeah, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirits. So then they have a scuffle, and the boyfriend then gets arrested. It turns out the boyfriend is the one that sent him the text because he guilt was eating him up inside, and he wanted to be forgiven, and he thought that the pastor would just forgive him.
And so the pastor came around and just fucking whooped his ass.
Then we cut back to the
Jack Johnson and Tim O'Leary waiting for you.
we cut back to the minister, and he's like, it's time that all Christians across America stand up to discrimination and this false diversity that's being pushed on our on our society, and that's eating away at us from within.
Stand up!
Exactly.
Gamers for Christians, right?
Exactly. Doubt girl then gets mad at the minister for not forgiving the sad boyfriend.
Of course.
Then the minister, as a result of that, goes to visit sad boyfriend in prison, forgives him, and gives him the dead friend's Bible, and says he would want you to have this. This was this minister's.
You murdered this man.
This was
Take
the
his
minister's.
stuff.
This was the minister's best friend. He forgives him and is like, "I forgive you, and I'm gonna make sure that I don't press any charges, and that I'm gonna talk to the judge and make sure that you don't serve prison
I
time."
totally get it. You killed this man. You win his stuff.
Kill the man. It's battle royale.
No, yeah,
rules.
let's just loot him.
It's battle
Looting
royale.
the teabag him a couple times. I'm sorry, I'm doing this. Please forgive me.
He died. Gets his stuff. Yeah, and so he then gets let out of prison because he talked to somebody, I guess.
Yeah.
Then there's this whole protest in front of the church where the students are saying, this is bad, we don't want this church on our university anymore, and there's a counter protest again of Christians just standing there
Being
quietly,
very peaceful, yeah.
very
That-
peaceful.
like they do in
Yeah.
real life.
In real life, for sure.
Yeah.
And then the pastor shows up, and then
Pastor, I
sorry,
hardly know her.
the minister, sorry, he shows up and tries to stop.
Minister, I hardly know her.
Ah, that's a good joke. The minister shows up, and he, with basically the body council member of the university that wanted to kick them all out, they reconcile, and together they turn the protest into a candlelit vigil for the church and for the dead man who he just let his murderer go.
Look,
I don't
Then-
know why,
look,
but
look,
that's
look.
it. I'm done.
No, I've only got one more point.
No, I'm literally leaving.
I'm not a church or church expert, but if I were
I'm not
almost
a
burned down by,
churchologist.
or if I were burnt down by fire, I would not want to be near a whole lot of fire.
Then
Is Nikki here?
doubt.
Yeah, that's. I'm literally.
Then Doubt Girl starts hearing God's voice again, indicating that she not only needs medical help, but probably should get a CAT scan for tumors. But she's like, yes, I'm reinvigorated by God's purpose in my life. And then the movie ends.
Oh my
And there's
God. Done.
there are
Goodbye, Marcus.
there are no legal credits this time. I think because of shenanigans.
Probably.
I can't do this anymore.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Thomas.
This has been.
I love you.
I just,
San Pellegrino.
I'm broken. I'm broken.
So yeah,
Why would you put San Pellegrino at the end of that?
that was 7 hours of my life that I'll never get back.
Oh,
And I
God.
did that all for you guys.
I mean, it makes a good episode, and it's gonna destroy our viewers.
Yeah. So
We're sorry, viewers.
I'm sorry. I really am. But yeah.
Bye forever.